Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 3rd as well as 4th September 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. So these are all the important articles which we will be covering in our today's Indian Express newspaper analysis. Have a look at it. Okay, let's get into today's current affair analysis. First set of infra loans for the tier 2, tier 3 cities to be dispersed soon. Explanation. Okay, what the news has mentioned is that the Urban Infrastructure Development Fund, which was bought in this budget, this year's budget, to disperse loans to the tier 2, tier 3 city. Why they are going to disperse the loan is that they are going to disperse loan to develop the infrastructure in those tier 2 as well as tier 3 cities. And state government are in the right now the state government are preparing the DPR, the detailed project report. So these DPR will be submitted to the National Housing Bank, which is the implementing agency for Urban Infrastructure Development Fund. And based upon the proposal, that loans will be dispersed from the Urban Infrastructure Development Fund, which was created in this year's budget. So, okay, how the news is related to civil service examination is, under prelims it is related to economic and social development, sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographics, social sector initiatives. And under mains, GS3, under a topic called infrastructure, it will the news is related to these two topics respectively for prelims as well as for mains. Okay, let's discuss about what is the Urban Infrastructure Development Fund. It is the fund through which the low cost loans will be disbursed to the state government to develop the infrastructure related activities in tier 2 as well as tier 3 cities, and it will be lesser than the market interest rate. And then the National Housing Bank, as I said, is in charge of implementing the Urban Infrastructure Development Fund, and these loans needed to be repaid within 7 years, which includes this 2 years of moratorium, and the amount of the loan will be in terms of 90%, 85% and 75% for the project cost of 5 to 10 crores, 10 to 50 crores and then 50 to 100 crores. And these funds can't be utilized for maintenance work or any other administrative expenses, or in relation to housing, power, transport, health, education, etc. So this is what the Urban Infrastructure Development Fund is about. Okay, what is the reason for uneven development in India is, first and foremost reason is the geographical reason, because of the difficult terrain as well as inaccessibility of the people, those who are present in the difficult hilly regions or difficult mountainous regions, as a result of which the development could not be percolated into those areas. And then there is lacunae in planning because of lack of involvement of stakeholders. Stakeholders means those people who are involved in the those people who will get affected after the implementation of the projects are not involved in the planning stage itself, so that the implementation is not giving the fruitful result. Similarly, the instability in particular areas like northeastern states as well as Jammu Kashmir, where there is a problem of insurgency, militancy, and internal conflict, is also hindering the process of development in those regions. And then the historical factor. What is the historical factor? Is that the British government has concentrated only on 3 presidencies, that is Calcutta, Bombay as well as Madras presidencies, and the development are concentrated in these 3 presidencies only during the British period. So these 3 presidencies developed way ahead than the other states or cities, and this inequality is we could be able to see right till now. And the natural resource availability, there are certain, if a particular industry or plant is needed to be located in a particular place, means there need to be available infrastructure like transport and availability of input like raw materials and skilled human resource needed to be present. So natural resource as well as other availability of other resource will act as pull factor for the development in those regions. And these kind of natural resource as well as other resource like skilled human resource are not present everywhere across the state. And what is the impact this uneven development creates is that the uneven development does not promote employment opportunities evenly across the state. And then because of packets of development, there is a situation where congestion is taking place in the city, as a result of which the environmental degradation is also a byproduct of this kind of congestion in the city. Then third is the social tension. Because of increased migration from other cities or other state to another city, the local peoples there is a competition for scarce resources, as a result of which a social tension arises. Then the uneven development in turn leads to health as well as education disparities, so that those states, those who are not well fared in the development activities, will have the health as well as the education indicators very poor. So how to overcome this kind of regional imbalance is that there need to be inclusive policy making. Second is we need to invest in infrastructure evenly across the state. Similarly, education as well as skill development of the young people need to be developed as well as enhanced, and there need to be promotion of local economies, that is local products which has the potential to capture the domestic as well as the international market needed to be identified, and they needed to be promoted, so that the economy of the region will not only able to access the domestic arena but also the international arena. So this is what the analysis of the regional imbalances is about. Okay, what is the initiative taken by the government to overcome this kind of regional imbalances? First is Amrut scheme. Second is Border Village Development Scheme under Ministry of Home Affairs. Then third is Community Development Program, and then Drought Prone Areas Program, then Backward Region Grant Fund, then Pradhan Mantri Khanij Kshetra Kalyan Yojana. These are all the important initiatives taken by the government to reduce the regional imbalances. So what we needed to be studied is, we need to know about what is National Urban Mission. Second is we should know about smart cities. Third is we should know about the structure, function as well as the components of the national housing banks. So these are all the areas which we needed to be aware of. The transition without playbook. In this, the author has mentioned is, what the author has mentioned is, right now whole world including India is planning to transit its economy from fossil fuel based economy to non-fossil fuel, that is renewable based economy. In that, how they are going to transform the huge economy into renewable based economy is that what the solution majority of the country is providing or saying is electrifying the industrial as well as transportation sector, so that more number of nearly three-fourth of the areas could be electrified. This is what the solution being given by majority of the country. But this solution is mostly of technical in nature, which does not encompass the international realities as well as social realities. How it is not encompassing the international as well as social realities, what the author is saying is that in international level, the resource is getting nationalized. That is, majority of the countries like US as well as European Union are doing huge amount of work to attract the investment related to the renewable energy. And these kind of investment as well as technology, they wanted to get developed and they wanted to protect it inside the border of the country itself. And what the international governments or the international bodies forgot to remember is that the climate change doesn't have any kind of border. So because of the resource nationalization, the technology as well as investment is going to get concentrated in a handful of countries only. And then there is a curtain between China and US. Right now, the China possesses most of the minerals like cobalt, nickel, lithium, which is useful for manufacturing the renewable technologies. But US is having the high-end technology which is useful for development of renewable technologies, renewable development. So right now there is a tussle between China and US. If these two countries are not coming forward to coordinate as well as develop to complement as well as supplement their development activity in relation to the renewable technology, this transition will face a major hindrance. This is what said by the author. Second is social realities. So if a economy is going to get transformed from fossil fuel based to non-fossil fuel based economy, means those persons whose livelihood depends on the fossil fuel based economy will get affected, and there need to be alternative opportunities needed to be provided for those persons whose livelihood dependent on this fossil fuel energy. In the case example coal, and after getting converted into renewable based energy or economy, more number of engineers, skilled engineers are required to maintain as well as operate the renewable technologies. So more number of engineers with technical knowledge as well as skill with the habit of upgrading themselves needed to get promoted, and they are needed in the huge amount. So there need to be a balance between that. There need to be a balance in the transition from coal to renewable technologies. In the case of alternate employment for the coal dependent people or the fossil fuel dependent people, and the huge number of demand is going to get created for the engineers. So it also need to be inculcated while planning for transition. And there is lack of governance mechanism to handle the transition. Still fossil fuel is acting as a part of energy security to not only to India but also most of the world economies. So how they are going to get transformed? There need to be a domestic based governance system which enable the ease of transfer from fossil to non-fossil based economy, which is right now lacking across the major countries, which is vying for transition from fossil fuel based to non-fossil fuel based economy. Okay, how the news is related to UPSC exam is, under prelims, the news is related to sustainable development. Under mains, it is related to infrastructure. Under GS3, topic called infrastructure. The news is related. And how then previously the question has been asked in civil service mains examination is, do you think India will meet 50% of its energy needs from renewable energy by 2030? Justify your answer. How will the shift of subsidies from fossil fuel to renewable help achieve the above objective? Explain. So it is one of the previous year mains question to the faced in Indian energy sector is, there is a major difficulty in accessing the energy for domestic purposes, and according to 2011 census, nearly 77 million families have been affected because of lack of access to energy. And then India is right now dependent on its energy need based upon huge quantity of the oil as well as the coal being imported from other countries, and then relying other countries for renewable technology. Because of lack of manufacturing base in relation to the renewable technology, we are now dependent on the other countries for the renewable technology and also manufacturing of those technologies. And then the climate change is also acting as a hindrance for the Indian energy sector. How it is that prolonged heat waves and deficient monsoon is creating prolonged summer season, as a result of which huge requirement of energy is, huge demand for energy is being made by the consumers. And then there is a gap between demand as well as domestic supply of coal. So these are all the challenges being faced right now in Indian energy sectors. And India's vision to achieve what India has made a goal so that it could able to transform itself into the renewable based energy or economy is, India's vision is to achieve the net zero emission by 2070, and in that it tries to, or it has a goal to increase the non-fossil fuel capacity by 500 gigawatt by 2030. Similarly, 50% of its energy requirement will be coming from the renewable energy by 2030, and then reduction of total projected carbon emission by 1 billion ton from now to 2030, and then reduction of carbon intensity of the economy by 45% by 2030 over 2005 levels, and then achieving the net zero target by 2070. So this is what the vision of India in relation to climate change and also transitioning of economy to renewable based economy. And what are the initiatives are being made in that direction is, first is Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, the Saubhagya scheme for electrification of the country, and then green energy corridors. Similarly, another important thing is National Smart Grid Mission and Smart Meter National Program and FAME scheme, which is being introduced by Department of Heavy Industries to ensure adaptation as well as manufacturing of e-vehicles, and then International Solar Alliances, which was formed under initiative of Government of India along with France. So these are all the initiatives to promote renewable energy in India. And what is the way forward is, there need to be clean energy supply chain at the domestic as well as international level. Similarly, the university level R&D activity in relation to the renewable technology needed to be promoted, and then sustainable lifestyle activity needed to be inculcated into the every citizen of India and also to the whole world. Similarly, there need to be manufacturing in the renewable based technology or product in India. Okay, right now this is what the renewable energy's installed capacity. Solar 48.55 gigawatt, wind 40.03 gigawatt, and small hydro 4.83 gigawatt, and large hydro it's 46.51 gigawatt, and biopower is 10.62 gigawatt, and similarly nuclear power is 6.78 gigawatt. In that we could able to see that solar occupies the large share among the renewable energy installed capacity. So what need to be studied further is we need to know about the India's energy mix. Similarly, we should also know about the important provisions in relation to Energy Conservation Act, and also we should know about Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Then we should know about the working of solar bulb and also solar motors. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. Bumper crops yet high cereal prices. What the author in this article has mentioned is that consumer right now is feeling the pinch of inflation after January 2023. Why after January 2023 is that the post-COVID, right from 2022 till January 2023, the government has been providing additional quantity of cereals or the food products through the PDF system at free cost. But after the reversal of the decision, that is taking back those free cereals or food crops being provided through the PDF system, now the consumer is feeling the pinch of the inflation. And during the 3 years COVID period, Indian agriculture sector produced bumper harvest. It acted as shock absorber in the economy, as a result of which huge amount of products has been available with the Food Corporation of India's godown, so that they could able to offtake more number of products to give it to those poor as well as vulnerable people to safeguard them from the COVID related economic difficulties. See, we could able to see that the offtake was more than the national average of 62.5 metric tons during the three years after the COVID. And then right now there has been a depletion of grain as well as wheat stock, is leading to reversal of the 5 kg additional grain being given under the welfare scheme. And right now the government has made the certain provisions so that the domestic availability of the food crops is ensured to the citizen. What are all the measures is, right now they have banned the export of wheat, and then export of all white non-basmati rice is also prohibited. Similarly, 20% duty is being levied on parboiled non-basmati white rice exports, so that the adequate quantity of cereals or the food crops being available to the citizens of India, so that they won't get affected because of the non-availability of those products, which is very essential. But Government of India has predicted bumper production this year also. Not only this year but also during the previous year. But the inflation on the other hand, if there is a bumper production, means similarly the huge quantity, the required quantity of the food supply will be available in the market, so that it will satisfy the demand of the consumer, so that there won't be any kind of inflation. This is what the theoretical thing is. But from the data we could able to see that during 2020-23, the production is very high when compared to the previous year. Similarly, in the case of wheat, the production is also high compared to the previous year. But during the inflation, the prolonged food inflation started from September 2022. So we could able to see that there has been huge amount of rice as well as wheat being produced when compared with the previous year, where the inflation was very lower. Then what is the reason why the inflation has risen is, we could able to see the second point. Procurement is, see, in 2020-21, nearly 433.44 metric ton of wheat has been procured from the farmers, but it has been drastically reduced to 262. Similarly, in the case of rice, we could able to see that even though the production has increased, the procurement by the government has got reduced. As a result of which, the availability of food in the godown is also got reduced. So there has been a paradox which the author is saying, that even though the estimated production of the food crops is higher, the inflation is also correspondingly higher. So this is the paradox what the author has mentioned. Okay, let's discuss about the civil service prelims question which was asked in relation to the news which you have seen. India has experienced persistent and high food inflation in the recent past. What could be the reason? Due to gradual switch over to the cultivation of commercial crops, the areas under the cultivation of food grains has steadily decreased in the last 5 years by about 30. And it is wrong. Whenever there is a terms like steadily, consistently means, it will be most cases it will be wrong. Why it is? In agriculture or any other activities, there won't be anything that will be consistently increasing or consistently decreasing. Similarly, second statement, as a consequence of increasing incomes, the consumption pattern of the people have undergone a significant change. Yes, whenever there is the increase in the income, then the corresponding increase in the luxury expenditure will also get increased. So second statement is correct. The food supply chain has structural constraints. Yes, this statement is also correct. Answer is option B, 2 and 3. Okay, how the news is related to civil service examination is, under prelims it is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains it is related to GS3, issues related to GS3 agriculture under a topic called issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies, MSPs, PDS objectives, functioning limitations, revamping, issues of buffer stocks, food security, technology missions, and economics of animal rearing. Okay, let's discuss about PDS because the news center around the agriculture production as well as the PDS, which acted as the social security system during the times of COVID difficulties. Let's discuss about the PDS. During the PDS started as a mechanism to provide a ration during the Second World War, and it got expanded during the 1960s, and then 1970s it got evolved into the universal PDS, where everyone will be getting the subsidized food products. And then in 1992 the PDS system was revamped so that it could able to reach the last mile people, those who are present in the country. Similarly, in 1999 the PDS, the whole universal PDS, got converted itself into the targeted PDS, so that the benefits will be reaching those people who are living below the poverty line. So in this direction, the Antodaya Anna Yojana scheme was introduced, and in 2013 the National Food Security Act 2013 has been made as well as implemented, which in turn made the right to food as the justifiable right. So this is what the history in relation to the PDS system is about. Okay, let's discuss how the PDS functions. Before the cropping season, the government will be announcing MSPs. So based on which the farmers will be harvesting the food products. So after harvesting, the center means central government, along with the state government, will be procuring the grains at MSP, which was announced before the start of the season by the central government. And then the center will be allocating the certain quantity of the food grains which was procured from MSPs to the state governments, and it will be keeping certain quantity in terms of buffer, so that the central government could be able to stem the price rise or reduce the scarcity of the resources whenever the market is suffering because of scarcity of resources. And then it could also be used during the times of difficulties, like in the case of COVID pandemic, and it will be giving a certain portion of those rice to the state governments. And after giving it to the state governments, the state government will be distributing those grains through its fair price shop at the central issue price to the beneficiaries. In that, the center is responsible for procurement as well as stocking or storaging, and then distribution of grains to the states. Whereas the responsibility of the state government is to identify the beneficiaries to whom the products need to be given or the grains need to be given, supervise the fair price shops, and distributes within the state. So these are all the functions undertaken by state governments. So in the PDS, there are two types of procurement will be taking place. One is direct procurement by FCI, that is central government, and then another is decentralized procurement. In the decentralized procurement, along the state government is responsible for both procuring, stocking as well as distributing, and then identifying beneficiaries as well as supervising the fair price shop, and then distributing within the states, within the districts that is present inside the state. So state government will be responsible for all the activities, and then the total economic cost minus the central issue price, that is the central issue price is the price which the state government will be getting from the consumers, those who are buying the food grains from the PDS shops. So the difference between the central issue price as well as economic cost will be given by the central government to the state government under the decentralized procurement. In the case of direct procurement by the central government, the difference between the economic cost as well as the central issue price, that is, if the central government is procuring the products or the grains from the farmers, it will be the FCI will be allocating the food grains to the state governments at central issue price. So it will be getting a revenue in the form of central issue price, but it will be very less when compared to the overall economic cost in relation to the procurement, stocking as well as distribute. So the difference between the economic cost as well as central issue price will be given in the form of subsidy to the FCI by the central government. So this is what the overall function in relation to the PDS system is about. So what is the challenges in PDS system is identification of beneficiary itself is the major challenge. Second is shortfall in the storage capacity, so that more number of products are getting wasted because of lack of availability of scientific storage capacity, and then rising subsidy as well as financial burden from the government side, and then lack of quality of the product procured as well as distributed through the fair price shops. And then there has been huge amount of corruption as well as leakages that is happening in the entire process of PDS function, and then there is lack of transparency in selecting the PDS dealers. So these are all the challenges in relation to the PDS system. So what needed to be done is that there need to be end-to-end computerization as recommended by Padwa committee. Similarly, there need to be a GPS enabled tracking of trucks need to be made. Similarly, PPP mode, that is public private partnership mode, need to be explored so that it could act as alternative model to enhance the storage capacity. And then SMS based monitoring needed to be done in the PDF system, so that the consumer on the one hand and also the government could able to come forward, so that the trust between the government as well as the consumer could get enhanced because of the increased transparency and accountability through this SMS based monitoring. So what need to be studied is there need to be crop wise production. What is the crop wise production, agriculture production in India? Second is we should know about the kharif as well as rabi season. Then third is we should know about what are all the agriculture problems being faced in India. So these are all the overall analysis in relation to the news which we have seen right now. Center asked states to form logistic policy. The states were asked to form the logistic policy to promote ease of business in country, and states were asked to integrate quality data on the portal for the state master plan for wider adaptation of PM Gati Shakti initiative. So this is what the news is about. And how the news is related to exam is that under prelims it is related to economic and social development. Under mains it is related to infrastructure, a topic called infrastructure under GS3. So these are all the areas where the syllabus, these are the areas where the news has been linked. Okay. So this is how the previously mains question has been asked in relation to the Gati Shakti. The Gati Shakti Yojana needs meticulous coordination between government and the private sector to achieve the goal of connectivity. Discuss. Okay, since the news is related to logistics, let's discuss about the National Logistic Policy 2022. It aims to lower the cost of logistics from 14 to 10% of GDP, so that the efficiency of the products could also get increased, and then the competitive price of the products could also get increased. Similarly, through this policy, government aims to improve its rank in the World Bank's Logistics Performance Index to less than 30, and then through this it aims to provide nearly 10 to 15 millions of jobs, and then warehouse and cold houses needed to be strengthened to reduce the agri losses to less than 5% through this policy. And then it has important functions like integrated digital logistics system. So what is it is, develops a unified logistic interface to link multiple data sources and develop cross-sectoral use case for logistics stakeholders. Similarly, under standardization of physical assets as well as benchmarking of service quality, there need to be what it tries to do because of standardization as well as benchmarking is it tries to enhance the interoperability as well as optimize the process of logistics and also improve the ease of business. Then logistics, human resource development and capacity building. From the name itself we could able to know that then those persons, those who are involved in this logistics sector will be skilled so that they could be easily adapted to the changes in technology or any other thing that is happening in the logistics sector. And then states engagement. It provides support for development of state as well as city level logistics plan. And then EXIM logistics, that is export import logistics, to address procedural gaps in the export as well as imports related logistic areas. And then service improvement framework. So under this, it aims to provide regulatory interface to enable seamlessness between the sectors, promote standardization, formalization, as well as eliminate fragmentation in the documentation process. Or paperwork, increase standardization, formalization, and increase the interoperability, etc. through this service improvement framework. And then to promote logistic park. And then to promote sectoral plans for efficient logistics. From the name itself, we could able to easily understand what is this about. Okay, what is the problems being faced by logistics sector in India is there has been deficiency in the infrastructure in logistic areas, and then there has been fragmented regulation in relation to the logistics sector. There has been no coordinated approaches. The whole of government approaches is there. And then lack of skill among those people who are involved in the logistics sectors, and then limited adaptation of technologies, and then inefficiency in the supply chain are all the problems being faced by logistics sector in India. Okay, let's discuss about what is the PM Gati Shakti programs about. It is the digital platform for integrated planning as well as implementation by involving nearly 16 ministries in central government, but also including the state government and also the private sector under its initiative. So under this program, so that the whole of government approach could be made for planning as well as implementing the infrastructure based connectivity across the country. And it will be using the spatial planning tool being developed by ISROs, BISAGN. So this is what the Pradhan Mantri Gati Shakti program is about. And then what need to be studied is we should know about Inland water port. How many inland water port are present and who are all the authorities been involved in developing the inland water port? And then we should know about the Bharatmala Sagarmala project. Similarly, then we should also know about the Udan scheme. What does the Udan scheme is about? So these are all the areas which we need to be aware of. As UPI crosses 10 billion mark, a look at India's key foreign policy cell. So right now India is aiming to pioneer itself in the digital governance, not only in India but also across the world. So India wants to play a key role in deployment of digital public infra and global public infra depository, where the government is taking the initiative under the G20 to implement the global digital public infra repository, where it will act as collection of information in relation to collection of information or data in relation to the successful implementation of the digital public infrastructure across the globe, or if there is any best practices that has been made while implementing the digital public infrastructure. These kind of data will be collected under the global digital public infra repository, which the government of India is trying to promote in the G20. And India stack is the one which is acting as the backbone for the digital public infrastructure of India. How it is it is a set of digital goods which will unlock the economic benefit in relation economic benefit that arises out of the identity, data, payments, etc. So in see how it will be designed is, see right now the government will be having the base technologies, like in the case of UPI or Aadhaar, etc. And this base technology could be used by other players like private or any other local government or state government to use this technology to modify it so that it could be useful for the need of the citizen. So this kind of model right now is being followed in India, and in that the Indian stock is the pioneer, where it has the set of digital goods in the form of Aadhaar enabled payment system, UPI, etc. And other players could able to access this technology, and then they could able to remodify or implement those technology in a modified form so that it could be easily or conveniently available to the citizen. Like in the case of UPI, which is being used by the third parties like Google, Amazon, etc. So that the transaction in the conveniency in the transaction has been ensured. And the Indian stack is designed in 3 layers. That is, first layer is identity, second layer is payment, and third layer is data management. In that identity layer, digital identity products will be made or available, which will be centered around the Aadhaar. So using the Aadhaar, the identity related products will be made. And the second layer is payment. In this, the UPI will be centered around the payment related products. And then the data management, third layer, where it operates as per the policy of data empowered protection architecture. So these are the 3 layers of the Indian stack. And right now India's vision is to take this Indian stack. This Indian stack could be not only this stack could be implemented in India, but also it could be implemented not only in India but also across the globe. So India has the vision to take this to the other countries. So it will be acting as alternative policy of implementation of digital public infrastructure across the globe with the support of India. Right now, China is promoting Belt and Road Initiative to promote the physical infrastructure under its support. So it will be acting as alternative competition for with China. Okay, how the prelims question been asked is, which one of the following is most likely consequence of implementing the union payment interface? Mobile wallets will not be necessary for online payment. Digital currency will be totally replace the physical currency in about 2 decades. No, it is wrong. FDI inflow will drastically increase. No, it is also wrong. Direct transfer of subsidies to poor will become very effective. No. Under mobile wallet will not be necessary for online payments. So option A is correct. How the news is related to prelims is, exam, UP civil service examination is, under prelims it is related to economic and social development. Under mains it is related to Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, what are all the challenges the Indian stack brings along with its benefit is, it has important challenges of privacy. Second is, it has huge potential to get manipulated by the cyber criminals, and then because of the entire amount of personal data being available with the state could, there is a chance that the state could get turned itself into the surveillance states. And then relying only on the fingerprint for identification could also be a threat, because most of the time there will be a mismatch in the fingerprint, so that the person who are entitled to the certain products from the government will, there is a chance that he may be losing because of some certain discrepancies or certain mismatch in their fingerprint or biometric data. So only relying on the fingerprint or the biometric data is not a viable option, which may in turn be leading to the exclusion of certain people. Okay, what is the advantages it brings is, it brings along with it the financial inclusion which the government of India aims for, and second is, it improves the efficiency in the operation of the sectors. Then third is, digital public infrastructure is the cost effective investment, but the output from the investment is very high, and then it will be leading to formalization of economy. Then it will be leading to better health as well as educational services and outcomes. So what needed to be studied further is, we should know about CoWIN, DigiLoggers, eSign, eKYC, Aadhaar enabled payment system, and second is, we should also know about data protection bill, its objectives, important provisions, or the body if there is any it has created, and then third is, we should know about article 21, and then Puttaswamy case. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. Okay students, with this we have reached the end of the today's current affair analysis session. Thank you.